Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover, and this is Book Talk. This is where I talk about the books that I recently read. This is episode 16, and this is a Star Wars story of Return of the Jedi. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I like to read books and I like to talk about books, so I decided to make videos talking about the books that I've recently read. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about a book that I read in this trilogy of Star Wars. This is Return of the Jedi, and this is the last book in this book. And I've read this whole book, and I really enjoyed it. But before I get into the book, I want to actually thank everybody for being here. I want to let you know that I really appreciate you giving me your time. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, so let's get into this. Now, the way that I'm going to do this is that I'm not going to cover the whole stories of Return of the Jedi. Instead, I'm just going to point out the differences and certain things that you learn by reading the book opposed to watching the movie. Now, first of all, I'm going to say this is Return of the Jedi. It came out in 1983. This is a story by George Lucas, but this was adapted by James Kahn. Kahn! I think of that from Star Trek. But let's get into this. Okay, now the first thing that I noticed that was different is there's a prologue in this book, but the prologue is not the opening scroll. None of these books in this book cover the opening scroll, which is kind of unique. You would expect that in these books, right? That's what you would expect a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But it just starts off with a story, like the other two books. And another thing I noticed right away is there's no music by John Williams, and that's a shame because one of my favorite parts of the Star Wars movies is that awesome music. John Williams is amazing, and I really love his music. But let's cover this. Okay, so there's no prologue. The next thing that I noticed is that when R2-D2 and C-3PO get given to Jabba the Hutt in the beginning of the movie, in the movie they go to this place to where there's this robot torturing robots. And it's the robot that says, "You're an insolent little one, but soon you'll learn some manners, or soon you'll learn some respect." I can't remember the line exactly. But one thing in the book, that's a female robot, which is kind of surprising to me. That's a pleasure model. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yes, that's a female robot in the book. I think that was a change, though, because that doesn't sound like a female. And it makes more sense to have a character like that being a male. Although you could see a woman being that character as well. But yeah, that's a female in the book, which was kind of an interesting thing to me. Okay, the next thing that you learn from reading the book that you kind of don't know is that Lando Calrissian was at Jabba's palace for months before they brought in Chewbacca, before Leia brings in Chewbacca. In the movie, you really don't know that. You don't know how long he's there. But he was there for quite some time before Leia comes in with Chewbacca. Now, the next thing we'll go into is when Han Solo gets defrosted. Now, when he gets defrosted, in the book, he actually has visions. When they defrost him, he has visions from when he was a kid up until he was an adult. And in the movie, they didn't talk about him having a flash of memories. Although in the movie and the book, they described that he wasn't really asleep when he was being frozen. He was like awake that whole time. It was like not sleeping. It was like being being stuck and animated and frozen, and it sounded pretty awful. I wouldn't like to be in that situation. I wouldn't like to be frozen. That would have been awful. But yeah, so same thing happens. You know, they have all those events that happen in Jawa's palace. And I got to say, in the book, it's fantastic. They do a great job of describing the Sarlacc pit and all that. It was really wonderful. Now, another thing that I kind of learned from the book that's not in the movie, but it's kind of is, you could kind of tell that both Darth Vader and the Emperor want Luke for their own purpose. But when you're reading the book, you could be in Vader's mind, and he was really planning on taking Luke for himself and ruling the galaxy as father and son. Of course, you know that from the Empire. The Empire really wanted Luke for his own as well. So you get that from the movie. But yeah, when you read the book, it's a little bit more clear. Okay, so this book is very close to the movie, so there's not a lot of differences to point out here. But the next thing that I'm going to point out is in the book, C3PO tells the tale to the Ewoks, just like in the movie. But in the book, after he tells that tale of all the events that led up to here, when he was using those sound effects, and even in the book, they talk about him using the sound effects when he tells that story. And then in the movie, they accept him and they become a part of the tribe after he tells that story. But in the book, Han Solo gives a speech about why they should join the fight with the Empire. Leia gives a speech as well. Luke gives a speech as well. And Wicked, the one that the Ewok that Princess Leia meets in the beginning. Oh, and another part that was not in the book that was in the movie was she feeds Wicked, but in the book she doesn't feed him anything, which was pretty cool because I love the scene when she has some food and the way that he gets excited and comes after the food. I really like that scene, but yeah, that's that. Now, the things up until the last thing that I'm going to cover is pretty much the same. But I gotta say though, in the book, when the Ewoks joined the fight, it was pretty cool when they joined the fight in the book. And I really loved reading that part when, they, after Han Solo and everybody's captured, and then all of a sudden the Ewoks attack. It's really cool in the book. But at the same time, the movie was really cool because I love some of the scenes when the Ewoks are fighting the Empire. Like one of my favorite parts is when they got the AT-AT walker and they have the two logs come and crush them. A couple scenes they do describe them throwing a bunch of rocks and the AT-AT walkers kind of fall over, and I love some of those scenes. I really like the fighting with the Ewoks. That was a really cool part of the movie. And one thing that's in the book, see now the line is there to when Admiral Ackbar says it's a trap. But the thing about it is, in the book, I would think that had an exclamation point. And I believe it's a trap. And I believe that he should have said, it's a trap! Because I really love the way he says it in the movie. And also, in the book, he does say that we cannot repel an attack of this magnitude, which is a line that I really liked. And that's in the book. And yeah, that's pretty much a lot of the same things happen. The way they describe of the Millennium Falcon going in the Death Star and going flying around and finally blowing up the Death Star is really cool. I really love the descriptions in the book, and it's great. Yeah, and of course at the very end, Luke Skywalker actually sees the three ghosts. I was thinking that he wasn't going to see that, but yeah, he sees the three ghosts. But he kind of says it's a dream. It wasn't like him actually seeing the spirits of the three people, of Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker. And the last difference that I'm going to talk about that was in the book that wasn't in the movie is Commander Jared was on the Death Star at the end, and he is the last person to have hope of blowing up the moon of Endor. He was still getting ready to blow up that planet, and he was ready to fire on the moon if he would have turned the Death Star around so he could get that in the target sights. But he didn't make it. It turned out pretty bad for him. And that's about it. So that's all the differences. Now let me give you my opinion of Empire. Now let me give you my opinion of the book of Return of the Jedi. It's a fantastic book. I really loved it. I enjoy Star Wars the most. Empire Strikes Back is my second favorite, and this is my third favorite of these three books. But I gotta say, even though this is my third favorite, this was fantastic. I really enjoyed reading this. It's amazing how good these movies are, and it's amazing how good this book was. It was a really wonderful book, and I'm glad that I read all these stories. Really good time. I really loved it a lot. And I highly recommend it, and may the Force be with you. So that's it. I want to thank everybody for being here. Once again, thank you. If you like the video, please do me a favor, hit the like button. It means a lot to me that you hit the like button. If you can, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I also want to thank everybody that doesn't like the video. I enjoy your company as well. And if you can, please subscribe to the channel. That means a lot to me. I really work hard on making my videos as good as possible. I still need some work, but I am trying my best. So please subscribe to the channel and come and see my future videos. And that's about it. I'm Peter the Book Lover, and I want to thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you in the next video.